We'll start with breath as an anchor. Okay. So we have started using our breath already as an anchor when we have been doing our meditation. So important for us to remember that our breath is our life. The minute we stop breathing, we are not alive anymore. It is the chain that connects all the events of our life until our death, right? It is short and shallow when we are tense and angry. Often we are not aware of, our breath. But now let's look at this. It is short and shallow when we are tense and angry. It is faster when we are excited. It is slow and full when you are happy. It almost disappears when we are afraid. And it is our anchor in life, and it can be a good anchor in our mindfulness. Okay, so breath is one anchor which we use. Now in your notes you will see there are listed many anchors. So when you're doing meditation, you can use different anchors. Some of them are Sanskrit mantras, like when you use Om. Okay, a lot of people use Om when they're meditating. So hum is another Sanskrit mantra which I like to use. So when you're saying so, you're breathing in, and when you say hum, you're breathing out. And that also helps you to concentrate on your breathing. Then there are many other anchors, and the whole list is given in your notes, which you will see. So you can have, sound meditation, you can have visual meditation, So different kinds of meditations anchors you can use. So please go through that anchor list and find what is good for you. Okay. Now that I had just talked about breath as an anchor, I want you to just close your eyes, and for the next 3 minutes, just 3 minutes, just concentrate on your breathing. So you can use the word Om, or you can just use any other mantra, and just concentrate on breathing in and breathing out. So start. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Continue for the next 3 minutes, and then come back after 3 minutes. Okay. Okay, so if you are ready, open your eyes. So isn't it refreshing, even that just 3 minutes of breathing?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, very refreshing. Huh? So anytime you are feeling, anytime you feel anxiety coming up, anytime you feel that something difficult is happening, if we just take 2-3 minutes to just, focus on our breathing, it helps us to relax, helps us to calm down, right?
Ma'am, I just want to ask here that when you are stressed about any situation, or when you are helpless, or when you are stuck somewhere, so yes, anxiety, you realize, okay, एंशियस हो रहे हैं बहुत ज्यादा, तो ब्रेक अवे करने के लिए ऐसे ही थोड़ा सा कट के ब्रीदिंग कर लो. मगर क्या है कि जो थॉट्स हैं वो उनको कैसे आप
So when you start concentrating on your breathing, you don't allow, means even if thoughts are there, you say, okay, let it be. I come back to my breathing. Yeah. And Sushil, when you experience this in the car next time, when you feel the anger is rising up, something is beginning to irritate you, if you can just cut off from that and just concentrate on your breathing, even for just 1 minute, it helps.
Ma'am, I had a question, Netra here. Does it help in anger?
Yes.
So I have a client who is having severe anger issues. She is very calm, quiet. She is not having depression, anxiety, nothing. Okay. but she is very irritable and she is very this thing. So I have given her brain gym exercises. I have going to give her mandalas to do, but it is like for her after a point irritating कि अभी ये और कितना करना है kind of a thing. So basically she is unable to be calm. So how
Yeah, it
to?
can help. It can help. So let's take
Okay,
this up individually. Yeah, this for
okay,
your client. Yeah.
okay,
So anyway, we'll be talking about this in the later sessions. So we are going to be
okay,
having a whole session where we are going to be talking about thoughts, feelings, behavior. Yeah.
okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. So anybody else wants to quickly say anything? So we'll move on otherwise. Okay. So let's look at benefits of mindfulness. You can see the screen, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So the first thing is that it enables living in the present moment. Like, it is said that yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift. So the present moment is your gift. Just keep that in mind. So when you want, bring yourself to present moment, just do this breathing. Just stop whatever you are doing, which is kind of agitating you, and focus on the breathing. And that will bring you to present moment. Okay. It also mindfulness also enhances cognitive functioning and being proactive. So very often we find ourselves reacting, like something is irritating, I find something that's causing me irritation and I react and I blame the other person or blame the situation. So here, if I can just stop, I can just take a pause and I can review the situation, and maybe then I can change the way I'm looking at it. Like some of you said, you already changed the way you're looking at things. Like Pooja said, that she went to her son and she changed her approach. Then somebody else, Tripti said about patience, about how uh, now when she's with patients, she's with the patients, and when she's eating, she's with herself. So when we change our approach, when we change the way we look at things, a lot changes for us. So instead of being reactive, we start being proactive. Okay. And it's the same thing. It enables us to make a paradigm shift. So it is Viktor Frankl who said, when we are not able to change the situation, we need to change ourselves. So how do we change ourselves? How do we make changes? First is we have to change the way we look at the things. So change our interpretation, the way we interpret things. And mindfulness helps us because mindfulness allows us to take that pause. So we remain proactive, we take a pause, we decide, we choose which behavior we want to, you know, have. And that is what can change a lot of things for us. Okay. And that is also what reduces our stress. So when we start breathing mindfully, it puts us in touch with it initiates the parasympathetic nervous system, and our parasympathetic nervous system is what enables the relaxation response. So a little later today we'll talk about the role of the parasympathetic nervous system, of for that matter the autonomic nervous system, how it is useful. Okay. So mindfulness, benefits to mindfulness meditation is it can help you to relax and regulate your emotions. Okay. So sometimes, when you realize that you're going to feel the irritation or the anger or any other difficult feeling is coming up, we can stop, pause, and, decide, okay, I'm not going to let this overwhelm me. I'm going to take it a little easy, and so I can regulate my emotion. Okay. Then you enables you to develop the ability to focus and concentrate. So when I start doing meditation regularly, when I start doing the breathing and body scan and other meditation regularly, we develop the ability to focus and concentrate. And it happens because, see, whenever you do some activity which you repeat, it becomes a habit, right? And then the brain knows that this is a trigger and this is what I'm looking for. So it enables you to focus and concentrate. Then it brings stillness and clarity in turbulent times. So as I said, when things are becoming a little difficult, when you're getting agitated, when you feel that now I'm going to lose it, if again we just stop and take stock of what's happening and start breathing, this again helps us. And it allows us, once you start breathing, the emotions also there will be a stillness that's coming and you can see the reality. Otherwise, when the emotions are going on in our head, we don't see the reality as it is. And then we tend to misinterpret things. So again, this is how it helps. And repeated or other practice of meditation can, they say, raise your immunity levels, and it has been researched and this has been found. Okay. Then it also brings healing in physical, emotional, and psychic pain. So you may be going through some physical pain, and there are some meditations which I will share where you learn to deal with the pain with a little more equanimity. Okay. So sometimes instead of just popping a pill, you know, this can help us. Some of us are so used to popping a pill for a headache or things like that. But once you have learned to do this kind of a meditation, you don't need that. You can just start concentrating on your breathing, and you can reduce pain in your body, because there are several neurotransmitters that get released, and these are healing, and there is help, right? So it's not just physical pain, it's also for the emotional pain and psychic pain. If some of you are not familiar with this term, psychic pain is the pain of low self-esteem, when I feel I'm not worthy, and that causes us pain. We may not be able to pinpoint it, but it's there. So meditation can also help us to deal with this psychic pain. Okay. So just like there are benefits to mindfulness, there are barriers, you know. So the first barrier is our automatic tendency to judge a person or a situation. Okay. So we are so used to judging, to being judgmental about things. So it's automatic. We are on automatic pilot all the time to judge somebody or a situation. So this can be a barrier. So we have to be aware of this thing in us. The second is the tendency to blame. We blame ourselves, we blame others, so if it's becoming too much, then you say, I am only bad, I am only the one to blame. So why do we do that? No? So we need to look at that. Then the automatic tendency to want perfection in self and others. You know, let me tell you from my own experience that if you are stuck in this thing of wanting perception, it can be very painful, because it causes a lot of difficult feelings, not just for yourself but also in your interactions and with your relationships. So therefore, this is another thing we need to be aware of. We need to understand that nobody is perfect. Everybody has got their weaknesses, strengths, and each person is unique, different. So let us accept ourselves first with our uniqueness and differences, and accept others also in the same way. So these are barriers which we need to work on if we find that they are there. Then you also have obstacles. Okay. So obstacles are a little more tangible. Okay. Yeah. So if you're under stress, when you're under stress, it's difficult to be mindful, no? Because you're going through all those difficult feelings in your mind. So when you're under stress, again, the feelings, you're going through very difficult feelings, and even your body sensations might be such that uh, you find it difficult to deal with them sometimes, and so mindfulness will be difficult. But again, bringing yourself to the present moment, breathing and all, can then help you to deal with it. Being exhausted is another obstacle. So exhaustion, physical exhaustion, mental exhaustion. So all these things, if they come together, that can be disastrous. Like, I will very quickly share my own example. Like, I was involved with this counseling team, which was, we were going to Mahad. We went for, in in August, we went for 4 days. Mahad, there was this landslide and floods and all, and there was a village that was very badly affected. There were many people who died, and we were working with the survivors. And then again, we went in September, and the September, and it was a very rushed thing. Like, we went one day and we returned the next day, but both the days there was very heavy rain, and working with the people. This time we worked with the women, so there was even more trauma which we were dealing with. And somehow both those nights I had not slept very well. Coming back was a terrible journey. A journey of 4 hours took us 7 hours. When I reached home that night, I was completely exhausted. And I went into the bathroom thinking I'll quickly have a shower so I'll freshen up and then I can have a meal and rest. But I didn't even know when the soap had fallen down, and I happened to step on it, and it was within seconds that I fell. And I fell in such a way that I fractured one of my vertebrae. And this happened in September, but I'm still recovering from that. Okay, so exhaustion can also make us less mindful. And so when we are exhausted, when we need to take time out and say, no, right now I'm exhausted, let me recover from this, and that way. Then being hungry. Have you heard have you heard the adage that says a hungry man is an angry man? Okay, so being hungry also, you are not mindful of things around you, what's happening, because the body is now sending all its energy towards getting replenish its energy. So you have to eat, and unless you eat, you will not get the energy, and so mindfulness at that time will be difficult. And so remember that when you are hungry, make sure that you don't neglect it. Don't eat, don't become so famished that your body is completely out of gear. Then experiencing pain. Naina shared that she has some spinal difficulties, and uh, that also may be causing pain, repeated pain. So when you're having pain, naturally body attention will go to that pain, right? So that can make you less mindful. But we can learn to stay with pain. We can learn to be with pain and experience the pain without suffering it. That is what mindfulness experts speak about, and we will learn that also. Then being rushed, you know so like all of us have experienced this, being rushed. We rush in the morning, we have to reach work and things like that. But sometimes this also can be can cause us problem, rushing down the stairs, we are not mindful and we may have a fall. So it's important to try not to be rushed, try to avoid these things, and with walking with mindfulness as we do, stepping down the steps with mindfulness, all these things become important.
Ma'am,
So
Netra here again. I wanted to ask, experiencing pain here, Naina ma'am talked about physical pain. But if there is emotional pain, uh, can we also learn to
yes,
be
yes,
with it
yes, you
and
can.
survive with mindfulness?
Yes, we'll talk about that also. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Then addictive and compulsive behavior. So when suppose I have an addiction, you know, so I will not want to get out of that addiction. Why? Simply because of the dopamine rush that this addiction gives me, right? So it keeps me on a high. So I don't want to come out of it. So I am then in a fantasy world, and that's I'm not being mindful, because then I'm not in touch with the reality. Okay. Then emotional reactivity. So like, as I said, we are by nature, we tend to be reactive sometimes, because that's what we have learned from childhood, to react. you know so if we learn to become aware of the situations on where I react very quickly, or what is it that triggers me. So if I have an awareness of this, then I can start doing the breathing, and I can mindfully bring myself back to present moment. Then being absorbed in your own narrative. See, each of us have got our own stories, you know, And very often with these stories of our own life, we also have fantasies interwoven into the story. Some of it may not be reality, which we tell ourselves. We keep telling ourselves on and then we tend to think of that as real. So that again is taking us away from reality and away from the present moment. So these are obstacles. So these are more tangible than what we talked about as barriers. See, you may ask, what's the difference between barriers and obstacles? The difference is very subtle. But now that you know which are the barriers, when you're aware of these barriers, that is the first step. The awareness is the first step. So once you become aware, okay, this is the situation in which I might be vulnerable. This is something when I will not be mindful, and there could be, not very nice effects. So then you start becoming aware. You try to be more and more mindful. So before we go to the next part, I would like to take is the human brain and neuroplasticity. But before that, I would like you all to do a sitting meditation. Okay, that's again another 32-minute meditation. So I want you to quickly, I will send it to you in a minute. So check that and start the meditation. Now on my watch, it is 12:05. So by 12:40, I would like you all to join back. So now there's a very interesting part, not very long. Yeah. So we'll talk about the human brain and how mindfulness is impacting our brain also. So the human brain is extremely plastic and establishes new neural connections daily. So whenever we learn something new, there's a neural connection, that is something that we learn and it registers in our brain. So it's called a neural connection. So there are many neurons in our brain, just like there are cells in our body. There are more than 10 million neurons, nerve cells in our brain. The only difference in these neurons is that they are able to communicate with each other, and they also communicate with the nerves, the rest of the nerve cells in our body. So we have sensory neurons, we have motor neurons. Now, connections between neurons can strengthen and create new connections through repeated and concurrent activity. So we all know that when we do something repeatedly, it becomes a habit. Okay, so this is what we mean by the connections becoming strengthened when we repeatedly do the same thing. So when we repeatedly practice meditation, when we repeatedly practice mindfulness, it becomes a regular thing for us. So these intricate networks need to be reinforced and consolidated daily. That's why we are saying daily practice. Okay. And when we reprogram our brain, we can bring positive changes in our lives. Okay. So let us also see what happens to our brain when we do meditation. So Sarah Lazar, she's a neuroscientist who has done some research in this area. So she was very skeptical about this, and when her yoga teacher talked about it. So, but when she found that there was a lot of difference in herself when she practiced yoga and mindfulness, she started researching more and more into the area, and she found that when used regularly and it becomes a mental exercise that brings about changes in the brain, there's an increase in the volume of the hippocampus. Now, hippocampus is that area of the brain which is responsible for learning, our memory, our spatial orientation, and regulation of emotions. Then she also found that there's an increase in the volume of the temporoparatal junction, that is where the two lobes meet, the junction, which is responsible for empathy and compassion. Okay. And another thing which she noted was that there's a reduction of volume of the amygdala that triggers the flight and fight response to a threat. So the threat could be real or perceived. Okay. So some of you may have heard about amygdala hijack. So amygdala is a very small almond shaped uh, part of the brain which triggers our flight and fight response, and it is, whatever happens there is the default, what we have learned from childhood, how to react. Okay, so at the drop of a hat, we might fly off the handle, lose our temper, scream or shout. So if there's a decrease in this amygdala, what it means is that there is also decrease in that kind of behavior. Yeah. So most interesting part here is the neuroplasticity of the brain. So we have the pathways. Okay, so neural pathways connect relatively distant areas of the brain or nervous system. Each pathway is associated with a particular action or behavior. Okay, so every time we think, feel or do something, we strengthen this pathway. So habits are the well-traveled pathways. Our brain finds these things easy to do. And according to neuroscientists, one of the reasons why the brain likes to have the habits registered, because it conserves its energy. Then the brain energy is conserved when there are habits. Okay, so again, let's look at the neuroplasticity part is, again, let me repeat, new thoughts and skills carve out new pathways. Okay, repetition and practice strengthen these pathways, forming new habits. Old pathways get used less and weakened. Okay, with repeated and direct action towards a desired change, we all have the ability to rewire our brains. So what do I mean by rewire our brains? So I was just listening to a talk by one of the neuroscientists, and he says, like, supposing I'm trying to introduce compassion in my life. Okay, we'll be talking about compassion and self-compassion also a little later. But just to give this example, that suppose I want to introduce compassion in my life, and I'm trying to do that. Okay, and supposing when I'm trying to do that, there are old thought patterns which come up. Oh, supposing it's about some relative whom I don't like. So all the thoughts about why I don't like that relative, they will be there, you know. But the more I try to consolidate the compassion, there is a kind of a liquid which kind of helps to consolidate it, and that is there in a very limited proportion in the brain. So wherever else it is there, it will draw from that. So now those old thoughts will become weaker, because that consolidated liquid from there will be taken away, and so those will recede. So the more I try to be compassionate towards this person, the lesser those thoughts. So these are how the new neural pathways we can develop, and thus we can rewire our brains.
Just a minute, ma'am. I have a question.
Yes, Rashmi?
If we practice more compassion, then we can have less negative thoughts about that particular person.
That's
right?
That's what this scientist was saying.
Okay.
And I really believe that, because I've also felt that in my own life. The more compassionate I become towards that person, the lesser, that previous negativity.
Yeah, I just connect with this, and that's why I just wanted to confirm. Yeah, thank you.
I like this example which he gave, and
Right.
therefore I decided to share it with
So
you.
this example, I can easily connect with the words. Yeah.
Okay. So another thing is called the Hebb's law in neuroplasticity, and where this is the scientist, neuroscientist Hebb. If he has said that neurons that fire together wire together. So what it means here is that if a neuron A repeatedly takes part in firing neuron B, then the synapse from A to B is strengthened. The synapse is the communication. Okay, so when this is strengthened, when they fire together, right? So there is a strength in that. So that develops, more, and it's strengthened, it's there for us. Then there's also this thing of the mirror neurons. So like, the same neurons are there in the other person, right? So if I'm doing a particular activity and the other person is trying to imitate that activity, what it means is that these mirror neurons are working. Right? Like supposing, let us see children who are learning dance from their dance teacher, right? So the teacher will not tell what you have to do. She will dance, she will perform, and she will show you. And children will look at that and they will imitate it. So here it is the mirror neurons which are being activated and performing the same task. So isn't it very, amazing? I
Ma'am,
find it
is
very,
it,
I find it
sorry,
very amazing. Yes, Naina.
sorry to cut you. Is it something like this that if you think ill or bad or you feel bad about someone, so maybe at the other end, the other person can also think same about you. Like if you keep complaining about your teacher or your boss that, oh, ये तो ऐसा ही है, इसने तो अब ऐसे ही जवाब देने. So the same mirroring can be done,
Oh,
is also done in the
it's
other
also
person.
the vibes. It's also the vibes, no? There is some
हाँ कि आप
vibes,
जैसा किसी के
the
बारे में सोचते हैं
vibration.
वैसा
Yeah,
वो भी आपके बारे में सोच
yeah,
सकता है.
yeah.
And also just wanted to ask that it is also ask or maybe talk like it is also the openness
Mhm.
towards the thought of forming a new habit and asking your neurons in the body to uh, fight with the old neurons or replace them or
No, we
develop.
are not talking about fight. We're just talking about strengthening what we
Yeah,
want. Huh?
strengthening, and then
Yeah.
finding the new
And the
pathway.
other things,
Openness.
what we don't want, we automatically, because we're not focusing on that. So it's slowly and slowly it will withdraw. They will go away from your consciousness.
That is how telepathy works.
Well, I don't.
Not it.
Telepathy, if we start the discussion, Dipti, it will take a very long time.
Okay.
So what I will do is I'll just complete. I have got just 2 more slides and then we can take up the questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So going to the autonomic nervous system. So in the autonomic nervous system, you have the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. So if you remember your school science, so you know that the sympathetic nervous system is one of the two main divisions of the autonomic nervous system. That is the where it processes the flight and fight response. So if you're faced with some danger of something, so it prepares your body for fight and flight response by triggering that kind of behavior in your body. And the parasympathetic nervous system is the nervous system which is responsible for stimulating the rest and digest and the feed and breed activity. So basically, when we are saying when we want to relax, when we want to become calm, it is your parasympathetic nervous system that will be helpful. So all this is there in your notes. Just one last thing is that if you look at, there's this thing in your notes. So when you look at this differences between the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system, you will see that the parasympathetic nervous system will be constricting your pupils, when it's relaxing. But when you're stressed, when you're in a flight and flight mode, pupils will be dilated. So similarly, there will be different things that are happening. So like it will stimulate your saliva, whereas when you are in stress, when you're in fight flight mode, your mouth becomes dry, right? So there is no saliva that is happening. So similarly, there'll be increase in heartbeat, or your heartbeat becomes slow when you're relaxed. So similarly, there'll be other activities like your stomach activity, like your digestion will be better when you're relaxed, when your parasympathetic nervous system takes over. But if you're in the other state, then activity in your stomach is inhibited, so digestion may be affected. So similarly, you go through all this. I will not just read from the slide. I will ask you to go through this and understand this differentiation between parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. So once that understanding comes to you, you will relate it to what is happening to you when you're in the different modes. So when you're in relaxation mode, you know what is happening. When you're in fight and flight mode, you know what is happening. Okay. So now if you have any questions, I'll quickly take them up before we go to homework. So anybody has any questions here?
Yes, ma'am. I have.
Yes, Dio. Yes.
Actually, I have two questions. Yeah, right.
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, my first question is about you are talking about meditation and mindfulness, no? So my first question is, actually it's regarding the spirituality also actually, because if we are meditated, if is there can we connect with the divine, no? Because everybody has his own experience, so sometimes the experience we can explain also, I think. So it can be I mean it can be expressed in spiritual matters also, no?
Yeah, there you do move from a more basic human level to a spiritual level gradually once you get more and more into being connected to yourself. When you know who you really are, when you know what is contained within you, first your whole body, mind, and then spirit, because your spirit is beyond your body and mind. So once you're connected with your body and mind and you understand it much more, then your spirit will also be nurtured through mindfulness and through meditation. Yeah, but talking about spirituality can go on for hours and hours. So right now we'll stick to what. But yes, definitely there is a spiritual impact and spiritual gain. Definitely, it's there.
The other one is you are talking about the judgment about the person or the situation, no? But my question is here, because in one way, if we judge the situation or judge a person, we can define the situation and the person as well. So my question is there a positive about this
So
judgment?
instead of judgment,
because
you can say you evaluate. See, judgment is more critical. No?
Oh, that's right.
You make a judgment, it's more blame, it's more criticism. But when you evaluate, you're looking at both sides. You're looking at the pros, you're looking at the cons. So there's an evaluation. So you have an idea. So you can make that difference between judgment and evaluation.
Ma'am, I had a question, Netra here.
Yes, Netra.
This meditation which we just did of sitting, there was a lot of pauses in between. So मुझे लगा कि बंद पड़ गया क्या? So I checked first. And it was like 2-3 times I checked my mobile. Ki what has happened, kind of a thing.
That's he's just allowing you to continue with your breathing.
Yeah, but I got uncomfortable. Why there are no instructions, because we are so bound by the instructions thing. So just being focused for 32 minutes is a big task.
Yes, it can be. And when we do it on a regular basis and when we see the benefits, we can stay focused. We can stay focused.
Okay.
So yeah.
Can I add something here?
Yes, Tripti. Yes, Tripti.
Yeah, when I did this activity, what I felt was I have done two levels of Reiki. So, when they told about the discomfort, so from last 1 week, I have been having, I've got kidney stone, and that was, giving me tingling sensation. But when I went into this meditation and when I concentrated on that part, actually that reduced my discomfort. I won't say that pain has gone, but yes, the discomfort which I was feeling from last 1 week, that has reduced to an extent. So this was really a helpful journey. Thank you so
Tripti,
much.
I will suggest to you to connect with me on an individual level.
Okay.
Yeah. So there is something which I can guide you through for this kidney stone.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll just continue and tell you all about the homework. So now you all have done body meditation and you all have done sitting meditation. So for the coming week, you all will be doing alternately. So you can start with sitting, start with body meditation and next day do the sitting meditation. So 3 days you will do body meditation and 3 days you will do sitting meditation alternatively. Then you will do 5 minutes of breathing like we did at the start of this, when I started. So 5 minutes of breathing without any audio. Nobody to instruct you. So you will just concentrate on your breathing. Use any of the anchors that you will find in the notes. You may not use any that kind of anchor. Just use your breath as an anchor. So that is the second part of the homework. The third part is again same. You take up one activity like you did in the last week and, you know, log it. Be mindful and log it. When I say log it, what I mean is write the experience. And if you can't write it, if you find it's too tedious to sit and write it, just record it in the voice recorder for yourself. And the last is, at the end of the day, look for a pleasant experience that has happened throughout the day. Okay? Look for any one pleasant experience that has happened throughout the day. And you can go through the thing and then write down. That you need to log. Yeah. Because then it helps you to bring awareness to the thoughts and to the feelings. Okay. That you go through when you're gone through this experience. And also, when we do the next session where we'll be talking about thoughts, feelings and all, this will be useful. So awareness of thoughts and feelings also is important. So you need to log it. So if you can't write it down, at least record it for yourself on your phones. So you have something to share, and not just for next session, but you have it with you as a record for yourself.
Just one minute. One thing. The meditations you said, do it for 5 days. 3 दिन एक करनी है, 3 दिन
5 days, nahi, 6 days. Three and
अच्छा,
three. Till Saturday.
3 days body scan कर लिया
Starting
और 3
tomorrow.
days
Starting tomorrow. Now today you all have done both, so you don't need to do any homework today. Start the homework from tomorrow, and again alternate days. First you do sitting today, then Monday on Wednesday, Tuesday you can do body scans.
alternate.
Alternate.
Okay.
Yeah. So one each day. Yeah. So and this pleasant experience. Okay. Right.
Okay.
So if you all have any questions during the homework, please mention it. You can ask on the group or you can individually ask me. Also start sharing your experiences on the group. No, if there is some interaction and you share your experiences, others also know about your experience and may be able to pick up some tips. Yes, Jason, you want to ask something?
Yeah, ma'am. I am now working on some stress management. So I wanted to ask you. Hello, ma'am.
Can't hear you.
Hello, ma'am.
Jason, remove your headphone and try and talk without the headphone.
Swati, you want to ask something?
Hello, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Jason, continue after that.
Now you continue. Yeah, please.
Yeah, ma'am. Can you tell me about the sympathetic system and parasympathetic, how it is related to our stress?
I just mentioned that the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system are part of the automatic system. So just read the notes. Read the notes. And then still if you have any confusion, call me. Yeah.
Okay.
The notes,
Okay.
detailed notes I will come to you within an hour or two. So please go through the notes, and still if you have any confusion, then please give me a call or message me. Okay.
Yes.
Ma'am, are you going to share recordings with us? Is it
not necessarily, but sometimes if somebody has not been able to attend,
Acha. Okay, for them it's being recorded.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because see, it's a very big file, and to send it is not easy.
Yeah, definitely, ma'am. I know.
So,
ma'am, can I for the day?
One second. Swati, you have a question?
Yes, ma'am. In between, actually, I lost the connection when you were explaining about the homework. So,
again, the homework is there, as I said, it will be there in the notes. And if you still have any difficulty in understanding, then you call me and I'll clarify.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
So it's explained very well in the notes, but if you have any this thing, please check with me. Yeah.
Sure, ma'am. Sure.
Yeah. So with that, I'll end today's session. I hope you all have found it interesting. At least the brain neuroplasticity is something which I had found very interesting when I did this workshop. And I hope, please read the notes because there's much more than what I spoke today. But remember one thing, that when we practice it, we are making changes to our brain. When you're practicing meditation, when you're practicing mindfulness, we are making changes to our brain. So they are both physical changes, chemical changes. So that's the good thing about it. So so with that, today I end today's session. And please do your homework, all of you. Log it,
Yes, ma'am.
record it, and I'll see you all next week.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Lian.
much, ma'am.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
ma'am.
Thank you,
Bye.
ma'am.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
Thank you, Leonie.